Really going to take a stand as an atheist and say there is no God, how do you prove that? How do you prove that? Oh, well, there's evil in the world. That doesn't mean, maybe God wanted that.
I don't know. Atheists like to put on this viewpoint. If you say you believe in God, automatically it's like, oh, that's absolutely crazy, or you're a lunatic, or you believe in a fairy tale. Which why do you think that is, or is that like the same kind of answer that you gave?
Well, I don't think all atheists all are the
Mm,
same. I think everybody's different, and I think many of the people that we deal with may not be atheists because they're too smart to be atheists.
mm,
Atheists are in a state of denial, and it's very hard to prove that negative. I think more often people would say that they're agnostic. They just don't know.
yeah.
Because to say there can be no, you can ask for evidence, and that evidence is very hard to deliver. So and again, I'm not sure that they all do any one of anything. So it's hard for me to speak in generality. Again, I don't know. I have enough trouble, Elijah,
Hmm.
figuring out why I do the things that I do, let alone why other people do the things that they do. It's very hard. I'm capricious. I go one direction, I go another, uh, and that's part of what makes us people. I mean,
Hmm.
we have different levels of doubt at different stages in our lives. Uh, uh, Something could happen in our lives that brings in more doubt. Something could happen in our life that lessens the doubt, that gives us more, increases our faith. So I don't think that we're monolithic. We're all different, and I don't think we're static in what we believe or the things that we take hold of. There's a lot of movement to where we are. Our minds are going all the time. So I'm not sure I can easily answer for other people why they do the things that they do.
Yeah. I know you just said you don't know what's going inside their head. But so you said it's a lot of you say there's a creator, then that means you have to bow to a certain almost set of rules. Like, but if you say there's an atheist, you almost can do whatever you want. That's kind of what it seems to me then.
So if somebody says they're an atheist, they can do whatever they want. They might think that they can do what they want.
Mm,
I suppose different people have different motivations. Probably for some people, I would assume it's their genitals. I mean, they want to be
mm,
able to do what they want to do sexually, without any kind of responsibility for it.
mhm,
Other people, they may want, it might be a power thing where they want power in other domains other than in the sexual.
mm,
So again, I don't know why atheists say what they say, and it's hard to really prove a negative. So if you're really going to take a stand as an atheist and say there is no God, how do you prove that? How do
mm,
you prove that? Oh, well, there's evil in the world. That doesn't mean, maybe God wanted that.
right.
Okay, does that then take your argument away? I
Mm,
mean, so it's very hard to prove the negative. So maybe some atheists need to stand back and think about this thing. Can you prove that there is no God? Maybe really all you are is an agnostic. You just don't know, because it's hard to prove these things one way or the other. It's hard to have an absolute.
what would be your best argument for atheism if you had to like pick one side?
Elijah, where are
Uh-huh.
you going with this? I don't know what the best argument
Mm,
is for atheism, because it's a very hard argument. How do you prove that there is no God? How do you
yeah.
categorically deny that there is a God? And I think it's a very tough climb,
Hmm.
for people to do. So I would say most atheists, probably most so-called atheists, have not really thought about
Mm,
what it means to be an atheist. And I presume that they're more often than not really agnostic, that if you tried to have a discussion with them, you'd be able them to get them to come around and say, yeah, you're probably right. I'm probably an agnostic. That's
Yeah.
what I would suspect.
Yeah, it seems to me that nobody really knows the origin of life. Why do people like insist like this is how the origin of life has begun?
Well, I'm not sure that anybody's insisting, but they 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 certainly presuppose a lot of things that certainly could not be. Because I look at the same data,
Mm,
and I'm a synthetic chemist just like these people, and I look at the exact same data, and I say this screams out, doesn't just implicate, but it screams out that life did not happen that way because you had so much user input and there were so many steps, and your nano step, little nano step doesn't solve the 5,000 problems that you're up against or more.
mm,
And I think it's a very hard thing to even come with a hypothesis on how life might have started, in the sense that it's a testable hypothesis. Because when you go to test these things, you don't get life out, and what you get is generally something pretty messy, and you had to put a lot of effort into getting something that's at all good, and it's something that wouldn't happen by itself on an early Earth. So I'm just not seeing what they're seeing. But what's interesting, Elijah, is that they won't engage me on this.
mm.
They won't engage me. The only people that'll engage me on this are YouTubers.
Yeah.
YouTubers who don't understand the problems. And I get very frustrated trying to talk with them. I really get visibly frustrated, to the point that it frustrates me that I get so frustrated, because I'll point something out why it can't work, and any PhD chemist would say, "Okay, I see your point. That can't work," and they'll say something totally idiotic, like, "No, that happens."
Mm,
So it's very frustrating if you're trying to. It'd be like you trying to tell a 4-year old something, and they're constantly disagreeing with you, and you're showing them evidence why that can't work, and yet they disagree with you nonetheless. I mean, after a while, you'd say it's not worth talking with this 4-year old.
mm.
So I've given up trying to talk to YouTubers, because when I point things out to them, they can't get it. But then the key experiment is here. You have the experts. And why is it the experts don't just take the YouTubers' arguments? If the YouTubers really have the right arguments, why don't the experts say, yeah, what that YouTuber said, I go with that? They don't.
Mm.
They don't go near it. They won't go near what the YouTuber has said, because it just doesn't work. And the YouTuber goes away and pounds their fist and says, and claims victory. And they're like, how can you claim victory? The experts who even are on your side don't take your argument.